We're here today to talk about saddle pads, Angus Barrett saddle pads. I'm Angus Barrett, and we've got a couple of models. This is JB, the first one. The first thing I'll do is run you through the saddle pads that we make. All right, they're all pure wool. I'll get into how they're made in just a second, but I'll start you over here with, this is our fitted slimline. Okay. It comes, all our saddle pads, let me start again, all our saddle pads come in two colours and two thicknesses, brown and white, either a 13mm or a 17mm, okay? Now this is the fitted slimline, that's the first one we have there. I've got a little kid's saddle here that I'll sit on one of those just to show you how small it is. That's the fitted slimline in its two thicknesses. I'll also put a stock saddle on there while I'm going to show, because it's actually made to fit the stock saddle. A bit hard to tell when it's not on the horse. Right, see, nice shape. That's what it's made for. That's the fitted slimline, and it fits to the horse a little bit better. The saddle pad itself doesn't fit any better to the horse, but it fits the saddle or suits the saddle. I personally like the classic. Anyway, we'll leave that kid's saddle on there. That's a very small saddle, so I don't think that's a big saddle, because it's not. Now we have the fitted slimline, and then we have the classic, and the classic comes in two lengths, the classic and the classic long. I'll take a brown one here, and I'll sit it on top of the classic long, just so that you can see the difference in the size there. So it's 100mm longer, and the reason that's longer is for larger saddles, obviously. The only difference is the length. They're the same depth down each side. And I've got a western saddle, which I'm going to show you. I've got a cutting saddle over there on this horse in a second when we get to it, and it'll show you why it's made 100mm longer. It's just for bigger saddles, stock saddles. When it comes to the options that you can put on your two thicknesses or your two different styles, you've got a what's a clean skin. This is a clean skin, so this is our most affordable pad. No difference in the felt whatsoever, but just a lot less labour in it. So we cut the felt, and then we sew the perimeter so that the felt can't get to it. You don't tear felt, for example, like the sewing isn't to stop the felt from tearing, like it wouldn't. They don't tear that way. Felt's made in layers, so it can undo in layers. So that the sewing is just to hold it all together, or to keep it together, to stop it separating in its layers. Anyway, that's how the clean skin looks. It has a patch on the back. The reason the patch is there is so that we can make sure that goes to the back of the pad. And the reason it goes to the back is, it's probably really hard to see because it's a really fine little radius there, but I actually have a little radius at the front and the rear, and that's made so that when it goes on the horse, it goes down like that. Because of the length, you put the weight on it, it pulls it down, but the not curl up like this. Okay, we don't want them curling up. It's made to go down like that. And then we have the canvas trim. So you got huge range of colours there. Lots of options in canvas, different colours. They come with our logo as a standard, or if you want, you can have a custom logo made, and lots of embroidery. We've got our own embroidery machine, so we do all our own embroidery. The canvas has a wither patch on it. Okay, there's no wither patch on this one. The reason we put the canvas on this one, well, the reason the canvas is there is because we want to hold the top of the pad together to stop it collapsing. So not that it's going to collapse, stop it conforming more than what we want it to. It just gives it a little bit of extra support at the top. I've got a very old pad here on my pony. You walk up. Come on. JB, please. Come on, mate. Walk up. Just get my horse to walk up here. Thank you, sir. Alright, so this is it's a very old pad. This is one of my first pads. This is the 13mm. It's done a lot of work. I ride in it. It's probably 13 years old. It's original. It's got leather down the side, how we used to first do it. So it's got the leather down the side, and it's also got pardon me, it's got no cutouts down the wither. That was before I started cutting the withers down down the spine. The reason the cutouts are there is to help your saddle pad let a bit of heat out if you're riding in a hot area, but it's more so to help it conform earlier and quicker. The cutouts also hold a spine. You can see this one sits off sort of maybe an inch or something, and that's because I've always just put it on that way, and I've never, and maybe it's because when I get on that side it pulls it a little bit and the saddle pads conform. But what I can show you here is the shape of the pad, how it's taken to the conformation of the horse. Underneath, it's quite dirty. That's pretty standard. A lot of people ask me what's the best way to clean my saddle pad. The best way to clean your saddle pad is to clean your horse before you put the saddle pad on. Pony here, like a lot of dust on his back. He's got, that's all coming up. If I go for a ride without brushing that out, when the wool wicks, and that's what the wool does, the wool absorbs and it breathes. So as it pulls the sweat up, when the horse gets the sweat up, it's going to pull the sweat up into the saddle pad, and it'll take that dust with it. So we've got, but if I put that on there, I'll just move him over here, step over. We've got there, hopefully you can see how that conforms quite well. Well, it conforms very well, actually, to the horse's spine. The 13 millimeters definitely conform better than the 17 millimeter. The 17 millimeters thicker, so it takes more work. The 13 mils are good for all day, everyday riding young horses, lots of work on and off horses all day. The 17 mils probably more for longer days, harder days, or if you're in a feedlot where it's really hot. So synthetic products are known to burn or scald a horse, and that's just because they don't breathe, they don't absorb. Wool doesn't. Wool's a natural fibre. This is pure wool, 100%, or maybe like 99 or 92. And actually, to support that, if anyone wants any information or wants to know how much wool or what this saddle pad's made of, or what the makeup is with full wool or other fibres, I have it tested every time we get a batch. So each year or every time I have the felt come to me. Okay, so the felt's made in, it's made offshore. It's not made in Australia. That's because we don't have any felting machines in Australia. It is Australian wool. It is Australian wool. I can assure you of that. The company that makes the felt for me, they have been asked specifically, and they assure me that it is Australian wool, which is kind of easy to believe because we make a lot of wool, and the only other only wool that comes from 3 countries to make the felt, and that's Australia or New Zealand, or I think it's either South America. I think it's South America. Well, I was going to say South Africa, but I'm pretty sure, maybe it's South Africa. Anyway, I'm not too sure of those last two. It's South something. Anyway, I have, when the wool comes in, I cut a sample, or I take a sample every time there's a new batch, because the felt's made for me. It's made a custom size, so I have to order a certain quantity of it, and that's how I get to cut the big pieces instead of the little sections, and then sew them together. I take a sample, send it to Melbourne to the lab there, and they test it and send me back a report, and that's how I keep a track on the quality and what's coming. Wool's got, when you make felt, it's about a density and how much work goes in, how much vibration goes into layering a felt or making a felt, and the density, getting the density right, is very important. We've, over the years, I mean, I've been making these pads now for probably 15, 18 years, and the felt over the years I've asked for different densities, and I've tried the softer ones and I've tried the harder ones, and the ones that are too hard. Anyway, I feel like some that are too hard and they don't absorb, and the ones that are too soft, they collapse and the felt doesn't hold together. This would be a very strong wool. It's not a fine wool, so it'll be a crossbred or a border Leicester, or and it'll probably be all your skirtings and whatnot. That's the bits that they send to felting. This is this one, right? So I'll put a saddle on here. I'm staying focused. All right, we're mate. Okay, so we've got, this is just a normal standard size stock saddle. I put it on the horse, and then I pull that up there a little bit into the gullet, and that helps. That all slips down. I come back around that side there. Well, JB. You've got, I don't know if I'm going to get the sun on there now. Step over. Yeah, we've got the saddle on the horse, sitting on a bit of wool. It's pretty well that simple. There you can see there, I haven't got it far enough forward, so I'll shift it all the way up here, sit that saddle back, get it where I want, lift it up, and then I'll just give it all a little pull back so those horses' hairs lay back that way. And now in this size here, I've got an inch or so at the back, or an inch at the front. That'll pull down there, that conforms. It sits nice in the gullet there, if he's going to stand there. You can see we've got plenty of, it's sitting down on the horse, and that sits quite well there, sits very well there. The wool doesn't slide, don't put anything under it. The whole point of this program is to get the wool on the horse, and the wool is to conform to the horse's back and the saddle. I've got this horse that's what's your name? JB, stop it. He's trying to eat a pad, he's getting bored. I'll just bring him forward. Here, mate, come up. He's got it, come up. He's got a, this is my cutting saddle, and he's got a classic long on here. Wilma. Right, so we got, I make them short. I don't like them long because I don't like a pad all the way down here. I don't know why I'd want a pad all the way down here when I'm trying to ride with a lot of leg. So I make them just sit up here underneath the saddle. Ideally, or what we could always do is you can make a pad even smaller if you wanted to, because the only parts of the saddle that's actually sitting on the horse are the bars. This is just all skirt, which is here to protect, but the saddle pad protects that from absorbing sweat. The wool's not drawing in the sweat there. But they're not made long. You can see they're quite short here. Don't really know what else I can tell you right now about a Angus Barrett saddle pad. They're our best sellers. They're proven, they're tested. I don't cut the sections. I cut it in one piece, I can tell you this too. Okay, so I don't cut them in halves. I make them in full pieces. And I do that deliberately. I actually go to a huge amount of effort to have felt made specifically for me, a special size, so that I can get the right cut out of it. And the reason I don't cut them in halves, you can buy a pad that's cut in half, and they're like, oh, it's a fitted saddle pad. These fit, they conform. Wool conforms. That's the beauty of it. Dropped your shades, mate. Excuse me. The felt conforms, and I don't like cutting them down the centre, because if I cut them down the centre, I've just got to sew them all back together, and when I put that stitch in there or sew it back together, what I'm doing is creating a like a weak spot. Like I said, this saddle pad over here has done 13 years work. I can assure you it hasn't been cleaned. No, sorry, I can assure you it hasn't been looked after. There's nothing wrong with, I won't throw that brand newie on the dirt, but you don't need to worry about grass seed or anything like that. This is, I'll throw it in the round yard here, get a bit of sand on it. You don't need to worry about that. That's all just going to dust off. All right, there's no big drama. Saddle pads get a flogging just like everything else. If you want to wash them, I'm not sure if I started the video telling you the best way to wash your horse. No, not wash your horse. Yeah, I'm going now. You don't need to worry about it. The best way to keep your saddle pad clean is clean your horse before you put your saddle pad on. I think I might have told you that. But anyway, if you do want to wash your saddle pad, so this one here's taken up a bit of dirt over the years. Now, to wash this, well, I wouldn't wash this, to tell you the truth, because it's still soft. You can break your saddle pad up, you're not going to wreck it. It's just a big piece of felt. But if you do want to wash it, then if your saddle pad does start to get harder, or you are doing a lot of really heavy working, it's a good idea to get the sweat out. All right, so once your sweat's gone into your pad, the wool wicks. Okay, so as it's drawing the sweat up without the dust, because you've cleaned your horse, remember? You brushed your horse before you put it on there. So it's full of sweat, and it's got a bit of hair on it. If it's full of hair, I haven't got too much hair here, but you get your steel curry comb or a comb and you rub it round and round and round and lift the hair off. And then if you want to wash the sweat out, take your pad, soak it in a big tub of water, or soak it in a trough, or whatever you want to soak it in. You don't need to put any chemicals with it. Don't put hot water with it. Pure wool, it will shrink. And then hose it out. So you're turning what's dry in the pad into a liquid, and then hit it with the gurney or the pressure washer. If you get too close, you will cut it, flake it up, just like anything else. That's from a dog. That's not a washing effort, I can assure you. And then once your saddle pad's washed, soaked, you've turned what's dry back into a liquid, and then you get the liquid out, and that should carry the filth out, and keep washing it until you get like a clean water running out of it. And then take the pad and break it over the rail or break it over tailgate ute, and I wouldn't worry about what you break it over, but break it up, give your saddle pad a flogging, and that keeps all the fibres open and separated and good for plenty of work years to come. I think that's all I can tell you for now. Angus Barrett Saddle Pads, enjoy. Any dramas, give us a call. If anyone wants any information, please don't hesitate to get in touch. If they want to know what the quantity of wool is in it, don't hesitate and get in touch. Got all that information there. Enjoy. Stay cool.